All right, it's Monday, January 6, 2025, and mainstream media is reporting Trump is backing off his universal tariff pledge. The Washington Post coming out this morning claiming sources inside Trump's policy team are considering a revised, less extreme tariff plan. What? What? I don't think so. We're going to explain what's happening here. You can call Donald Trump a lot of things, but do not call the man a liar. This is a big deal with real ramifications. If this were true, the ramifications are massive. We're already seeing the reaction in markets this morning over this phony story. But before we get started, thank you for liking and sharing these videos. It really helps out the channel. And consider subscribing so you don't miss these regular updates.
And somebody said, well, what would you do? What can you do? So easy. I drop a 25% tax on China. And I said to somebody that it's really the messenger. The messenger is important. I could have one man say, we're going to tax you 25%. And I could say another, listen, you motherfuckers, we're going to tax you 25%.
So according to corporate media, Donald Trump and top aides are considering revising their universal tariff plan. Tone it down, they say. Make it less strict. That's according to the Washington Post this morning, citing three sources, they say, familiar with the plan. What? Who are these sources? Let me guess. Are they anonymous? You bet your bottom they are, but it doesn't matter to the mainstream press. Washington Post puts this pathetic piece in print, and then like vultures, the rest of the corporate press picks it up. This is circular reporting. That's what this is called, circular reporting. Take one story from anonymous sourcing, publish it, and then all the other like-minded media outlets can report on your story. We saw this over and over again in 2016 around Russiagate. The entire conspiracy was built off circular reporting, and we all saw how serious the implications were from that. Years of investigation, special counsels, prison time for some people, real structural lasting damage to Russian-U.S. relations because of that. Well, they're at it again, this time over Trump's top policy objective, trade and tariffs. Look at this. Trump aides ready universal tariff plans with one key change, they say. President-elect Donald Trump's aides are exploring tariff plans that would be applied to every country, but only cover critical imports. Three people familiar with the matter said a key shift from his plans during the 2024 presidential campaign. If implemented, the emerging plans would pare back the most sweeping elements of Trump's campaign promise plans, but still would be likely to upend global trade and carry major consequences for the U.S. economy and for consumers. Could this be true, folks? Is Trump already reneging on his top, most important policy promise? This is what they want you to believe. Look, as a candidate, Trump called for universal tariffs, they say, as high as 10 or 20% on everything imported into the United States. Many economists, though, warn that such plans could cause price shocks. Many Republicans in Congress might have criticized them. Then, 2 weeks before Trump takes office, his aides are still discussing plans to impose import duties on goods from every country. But rather than apply tariffs to all imports, the current discussions center on imposing them only on certain sectors deemed critical to national or economic security. A shift that would jettison a key aspect of Trump's campaign pledge, at least for now, said the people, who cautioned that no decisions have been finalized and that the planning remains in flux. And where are they getting this from? Who are they speaking to in Trump's policy team? Let's see. The people for this piece spoke on the condition of anonymity to describe private conversations. There you go, anonymous sourcing. And as I was recording this, I get notified that Trump just put out a statement on Truth Social about this, refuting the entire story wholeheartedly. 100% not true, he says. Trump writing on Truth Social this morning at 9:15 a.m. Eastern, saying this: the story in the Washington Post quoting so-called anonymous sources which do not exist incorrectly states that my tariff policy will be pared back. That is wrong. The Washington Post knows it's wrong. It's just another example of fake news. You see what they leave out, though. Never did Trump say universal tariffs on all foreign-made products. Why in the hell would we tariff things we can't build? It's ridiculous. And let me tell you, when I saw this piece this morning, my eyes probably popped out of my head. There's no way this is true. No way Trump's toning back his tariff plans. This is called phishing, folks. Reporters in this country, they do it all the time. It's a dishonest practice. They publish false stories with anonymous sourcing to hopefully get a reaction that includes new information that Trump hasn't yet made public. And just to explain quickly how serious this is, just from this one story that the Washington Post published this morning, it caused the US dollar to plummet. Look at this. Then recovering after Trump's statement, Trump's entire presidency is going to come down to two major policies: tariffs and immigration. That's it, policy-wise. His tariff plan's brilliant, and he knows it's brilliant. Watch.
Here is the deal that I will be offering to every major company and manufacturer within our country. I will give you the lowest taxes, the lowest energy costs. I will cut your energy in half. The lowest regulatory burden and free access to the best and biggest market on the planet Earth, but only if you make your product here in America and hire American workers for the job. You know, I had Wall Street geniuses calling me up yesterday. I said this yesterday when I was in Georgia, where we're leading also, by the way. That's nice, by quite a bit. But we were in Georgia and doing well, and they called me up after the speech and they said, "What? Who gave you that idea to cut the taxes, but only if you make the product in the USA?" Pretty good idea. They said, "Who gave you that idea?" I said, "I did. If you don't make your product here, then you will have to pay a tariff when you send your product into the United States, and we will take in hundreds of billions of dollars into our treasury and use that money to benefit American citizens."
And realize all the damage that the globalists caused over the last 70 plus years can be fixed by the end of Trump's term if he does what he's promised. China having all the manufacturing jobs. How do you fix that? Tariffs. The United States being an import-based economy instead of an export-based economy like we were, like China is currently. How do you fix that? Tariffs. And the only reason it's even possible that it can be fixed is because at this moment, we're still the largest economy on the planet, the largest market on the planet. Every country in the world wants to do business with us. We have a very small window of time to solve these problems, and Donald Trump is the man to do it. So this story, them claiming he's backing down from his signature campaign promise, not true. Don't fall for it. This is also, by the way, why I keep saying everything's about to change. I'm expecting major volatility in the coming years. We've never done anything like this before. We have no idea what's going to happen, but Trump believes wholeheartedly in this plan. This is the one thing he's been straight as steel over, never bending, never capitulating about. Here he is 15 years ago talking about this very thing. One of my all-time favorite Trump clips, by the way. Roll the tape.
And I said, somebody said, "Well, what would you do? What can you do?" So easy. I drop a 25% tax on China. And I said to somebody that it's really the messenger. The messenger is important. I could have one man say, "We're going to tax you 25%. And I could say another, "Listen, you motherfuckers, we're going to tax you 25%.
And keep in mind, there are huge corporate interests at play here, huge political interests as well against this. Trump doing this would have major implications to certain industries, certain Fortune 500 companies that are solely based on importing and distribution. Will put a lot of them out of business. We're talking hundreds of billions of dollars at stake, but is it what's best for this country? And the answer to that question is a resounding yes. If you want the American dream to be in reach for your children in 20 years or your grandchildren in 50 years, this is how you solve it. Howard Lutnick does a great job breaking this down in this CNBC interview. Roll the tape.
We can't sell a Ford or GM in Europe. You go to Europe, you can't sell a Ford or GM. Why? There's 100% tariffs. How about in Japan? 100% tariffs. So do you think if we said, we're going to tariff you the way you tariff us, do you think they're going to allow Mercedes and all these Japanese companies and Porsches and BMWs to all of a sudden have 100% tariffs in America? Of course not. They're going to come and negotiate, and their tariffs are going to come down. And finally, Ford and General Motors are going to be able to sell in these places.
How's that sound, Andrew? That sounds...
Of course they're going to come down. Of course. This is just negotiating.
It absolutely makes sense. If you do it strategically, if it's across the board, it creates a real problem. And the question is whether you believe the president is going to do it strategically or across the board. He keeps saying it across the board.
Well, when you're running for office, you make broad statements so people understand you.
Right.
Okay? Tariffs are an amazing tool by the president to use. They're an amazing tool, but he understands, don't tariff stuff we don't make. Right? If we don't make it, and you want to buy it, I don't want to put the price up there. It's pointless. But use tariffs to build in America. If we want to make it in America, tariff it. Or if we're competing with it, tariff it. But you got to remember, we need to protect the American worker. Finally, someone's going to protect the American worker. And Donald Trump is here to protect the American worker.
Do you think we make a lot of money in tariffs? Or if they're used as negotiating tactics, look, tariffs will come down there. We're not going to have super high tariffs here either. There's not going to be a big pot of money at the end of the day.
I love that story. So which is it? Do we make a lot of money on tariffs, or we bring productivity here and we drive up our workers here? So it's a win-win scenario. I like both of them. I think what's going to happen is we'll make a bunch of money on the tariffs, but mostly everybody else is going to negotiate with us, and we will be more fair. In 1948, right, we came up with something called the Marshall Plan, right? The world, Germany and Japan were destroyed after World War II, and we wanted to export our economy to them. So we made a rule. They could tariff us, and we won't tariff them. So they can rebuild. This is the
best explanation I've heard of.
So they can rebuild their economy. We rebuilt their economy using something called the Marshall Plan. Yeah. Our economy is so awesome that we'll use it to help you rebuild. When should that have ended? What do you think, 1980? Right? 1985? I mean, why 40 years are Japan and Germany and all of Europe still tariffing the heck out of our auto industry, tariffing the heck out of our furniture industry? Do you realize all your furniture you're buying that's made foreign? It seems crazy. Why? It's because they tariff us and we don't tariff them. It's so obvious.
This is hands down one of the most transformational policies in living memory. And when you do big things, there's big consequences. So is it possible it could come with some ups and downs, at least at first? Yes, there could be some pain economically speaking, but after a year or two, we will be booming. And like Trump says, we will be bringing in so much cash from tariffs, we could pay off the national debt. Americans shouldn't have to pay income taxes anymore. In the early 1900s, Theodore Roosevelt is the one who switched our country from a tariff-based system to an income tax system, where the federal government's funded by income taxes instead of tariffs. Before that, our government was funded solely from tariffs and sales tax, no income taxes. All of this is possible. Wouldn't that be great? All of this is the goal of Trump's trade policy, and there's no chance in hell he's backing it off or scaling it down. All right. That wraps up this episode. Like, subscribe. We'll see you next time.